fishing man out on the lake. All you need is a line and a pole that'll never break.
Hey there, Rednecks, Preppies, Redneck Preppies. It's me, the Redneck Preppy. How you doing today? Great? Good. Just a friendly reminder that the Redneck Preppy can also be found on Rumble and Odyssey. Links to both are in the description below. Now, I was recently watching a video by Retro Bassin, whom you may remember as a Have You Heard About choice back in March 2022. And in the video, he explored the question of whether the legendary Head Zara Spook was the greatest topwater lure of all time. Now, this is a question near and dear to my heart because I am a topwater fanatic, something that you may know if you keep up with my fishing reports over on my Facebook page. Link in the description below. Is the Zara Spook the greatest? Well, I'm not going to spoil the conclusion that Retro Bassin came to. I'll leave a link to his video and you can find out for yourself. But it did prompt me to come up with my list of the legends of topwater lures. Now, before I get into this, it's a list meant to be fun. I know we can get evangelical about our fishing lure choices, but this betrays my loves only. Your list will undoubtedly be different. Now, with that said, let's get into it. Fred Arbogast, who incidentally wasn't just a guy who cranked out lures, he was a national champion angler from 1922 to 1924 and once held the long distance casting record. Now, he released his first lure long before I even drew breath, and they've been working at least as long. Now, I don't know if it's his most iconic lure. You could probably make a good argument for the hula popper, but the Jitterbug, introduced in 1937, may be his most famous. Now, on the face of it, a jitterbug looks ridiculous, regardless of what size you choose, and they make jitterbugs in a variety of them. This crazy looking scoop thing at the front looks like it was designed to plow water, not catch fish. But catch fish is exactly what a jitterbug does. Now, that crazy scoop-like thing allows the lure to make a pretty unique sound, one that draws bass and plenty of other types of fish, and creates some fantastic topwater action. Great in the daytime, but perhaps even better at night. The lure's side-to-side movement makes what the ad copy accurately calls rhythmic surface busting sound. Now, of the lures on my list, the Jitterbug probably looks the most like a lure from another era, which probably causes most people to walk by them in the store. And that's a bad mistake, because they catch fish just as well today as they did not quite a century ago. This is the only lure on my list that doesn't have a manufacturer attached, because they've been around so long I doubt anyone actually knows who made the first one, and I'm talking about the Buzzbait. Manufacturer is largely unimportant when it comes to these things, at least in my opinion. Now, if you don't know what a Buzzbait is, think of spinnerbait, but with a triangular spinning blade instead of the spinnerbait's rounded or leafed shape ones. And you can fish these all year, and they are fantastic lures in shallower water. Just run them as slowly as you can and along grass edges, shadow lines, docks, and over submerged vegetation. Now, you would think a clattering, clanky mess like this would only provoke massive attacks, but you'd be surprised by the number of more subtle bites that a buzzbait can get. Now, a lot of people get wrapped up in colors, but I keep it simple. If it's cloudy, I usually go with a white or chartreuse, or a white and chartreuse lure, and if it's sunny, I just go with black. Now, buzzbaits are great because it's a search bait, and as such you can cover a fairly big area with them and rule out places where there are no fish. My next choice is the one that Retro Bassin himself spotlighted, and I have an unabashed love affair with the Head Zara Spook. Now, if there is such a thing as a lure being used today that could be called a grandpa lure, which someone once called my spook while I was fishing, it is the Zara Spook, produced since 1939. The Zara Spook was a true pioneer in fishing tackle because it has essentially invented the walk the dog technique. Now, if you're new to fishing, that just means manipulating your retrieve to make the lure come back to you with a zigzag or side-to-side motion. As a technique, though, it can do some marvelous things. The Spook is so great that you can use them in either fresh or salt water and come in more colors than I could name, though I particularly like the white with red head and bone colors, and seems to catch any fish around. Heck, I've likely caught as many northern pike with a Spook and Spook Junior as I have bass. Now, there are plenty of lures nowadays that mimic that walk the dog motion that Spook lures are famous for. Some of them do it almost as good as the Heddon offering, but I have never used another lure that has done it quite as well. My runner-up for the greatest topwater lure of all time is the Heddon Zara Spook. And if this is all I had to fish with for the rest of my life, I wouldn't exactly be too mad about it. And incidentally, if you want to learn a lot about the Zara Spook, check out Retro Basson's video. Well, obviously I didn't choose Retro Basson's choice for the topwater lure of all time, so what is my choice? Well, whenever I reach into the tackle box to grab a topwater lure, there's roughly a 50% chance that the one I'm reaching for is a Rebel Popar. A Rebel originally began as a company that made its name manufacturing a minnow lure, but for me, the company should be best known for their top water offerings. Now, the Popar has been around for over 5 decades, and one I honestly believe is the standard by which all other topwater lures should be judged. Unlike other topwaters, you can legitimately use it as either a fast lure or a slow lure, working it quickly across the surface to mimic a panicked bait fish or slowly to present one that's injured. You can even change the sound it produces by where that rod tip is, high or pointed towards the water. And it comes in a variety of colors and paint schemes to match whatever mood or situation you're in. And for those of you that believe that the Popar is merely a small lure, there are larger versions if you want to throw a submarine into the water and make as much noise as possible. Now, I've caught more fish with a silver black Rebel Popar than I could probably ever realistically estimate. And anytime I lose one, the first thing I do is drive to an outfitter to get another one. Now, I will grant you that the lure is ideally suited for reasonably calm waters. You could conceivably fish something like a Zara Spook in more unsettled waters, but when the time calls for a Rebel Popar, I don't think much in the way outperforms it. So my choice for the best topwater lure is the humble Rebel Popar. It just works. Agree? Disagree? Lucky for you, there's a comment section below where you may feel free to proclaim my genius, or tell me how much of a lunkhead I am, or propose your own candidates. I await with bated breath. At any rate, I hope you found today's video at least be vaguely entertaining and mildly informative. As always, I hope your fishing lands you nothing but lunkers. Take care, and bye-bye.